We're exploring the world of 1930s serials, and I don't mean the kind that John Harvey Kellogg made to make you stop masturbating. Welcome to Dramatis Personae, the only bi-weekly Star Trek reenactment and discussion show where we reenact episodes of our favorite Trek series with a cast of amateur volunteer actors with a professional strength love of Star Trek. And then we discuss and dissect the episode to examine the cultural and political messages, both covert and overt. I'm Angel Castillo, and I am your host. Just to let you know, we have plenty of new faces this week, this fortnight. It's a fortnightly show. David keeps jumping on me to call it fortnightly instead of bi-weekly because bi-weekly is ambiguous. And the only ambiguity we like on Dramatis Personae is gender ambiguity. So we have some new faces in the repertory, and I'll just go ahead and get to the introductions. Oh, wait, I didn't even say, I made the serial joke, and then I didn't even say what episode we're doing. If you didn't get it from the joke or any of our promotional materials, or my background, we're going to the Delta Quadrant, and we are doing the Voyager episode, Bride of Chaotica. It's another holodeck malfunction episode, but this time with some retro futurist aesthetics to it. So let's get to introducing our wonderful cast. I, Angel Castillo, your broadcast host, will be playing the role of the narrator within the Captain Proton adventure. Up next on our cast list, we have Marnie Mortimer.
Hey, I will be playing the role of Harry Kim today.
And accordingly, we will make sure you do not get promoted this entire episode. Next up, we have Fiona Donna.
Hello, I will be playing the ever swagalicious Ensign Tom Paris, Captain Proton.
I mean, he's not Harry Kim, so maybe he'll get promoted. Who knows? Then we have Maxim Rex.
I am Dr. Chaotica.
Mm-hmm. And then Bex Flat.
Hello, I will be playing Janeway / Queen Arachnia.
And of course, Bex's camera is dark today to represent the darkness of Arachnia. Next, we have David X. Crow.
Hey y'all, I am playing Tuvok, and I'm also going to be screaming a lot.
I mean, what difference is that between the rest of the week for you? But this time you'll be doing it for the show. Next is Casey Lowry.
Hello, I will be playing Lonzak.
Oh, we've been visited by Dame Maggie Smith. Next is Noah Stansbury.
Hey y'all, I'll be playing 7 of 9 today.
Excellent. Aaron Getson.
Hi, I'll be playing B'Elanna Torres.
Oh, my B'Elanna has a first name, and it's Aaron. That was a dumb joke, but I don't apologize for it. Next, we have Lita Chrisman.
Hello, I will be playing the alien today.
Excellent. The alien on Star Trek. What a specific name for your role. Then we got Steffi.
Greetings, citizens of Earth. I am Satan's robot. My primary function is to serve the forces of evil. Beep boop.
I am so excited to buy Daft Punk's new album. Then we've got Sarah Horton.
Hello, I will be Neelix and Shakate, though I probably pronounced that wrong. So, you know.
It's pronounced Shakakan. Chakotay, I think. Whatever. He's from a completely made-up tribe, completely made-up name. We can't offend anybody worse by pronouncing his name than he's already offended actual Native Americans. Then going on, Ben Church.
Hello, I am playing the Emergency Medical Hologram, or EMH.
All right. And before we get into the episode, just to let you know, as we do every fortnight, We are always raising money for different progressive causes, so that way we can feel like we're doing something good for the rest of the world with our little nerd show. And so we are raising money for Transgender Law Center. Oh no, I forgot somebody in the cast list. Oh boy.
It's okay.
Rob,
I'm going to take it personally for the rest of my life. It's fine.
it's okay. Robbie Lawton, please introduce yourself.
I'm Robbie, and I'll be reading narration and some commentary along the way, courtesy of David X. Crow.
Yes, we have a lot of great behind the scenes work. Also, you know, our executive producer Carl St. Lucie, work in the switchboard. We got a lot of people who do a lot of great work behind the scenes, prepping these episodes every fortnight, picking the episodes, preparing the script, doing the sound cues. You know, like I said, we're an amateur team, but we have a very professional strength love of Star Trek. But to get back to the cause that we're raising money for, if you look down in the chat, whether you're looking at this on Facebook Live or if you're looking at the replay on YouTube or Facebook, somewhere down below where my fingers are pointing, you will see a link to a platform called Tiltify, which is where we are raising money for Transgender Law Center, which, if you don't know, Transgender Law Center is the largest national trans-led organization advocating for a world in which all people are free to define themselves and their futures. Grounded in legal expertise and committed to racial justice, TLC employs a variety of community-driven strategies to keep transgender and gender non-conforming people alive, thriving, and fighting for liberation. Our goal is $250. We have already raised $175 to that, and if you donate during the broadcast, we'll give you a little shout out during the commercial breaks in the episode. So who doesn't like to hear their name on internet TV? I know I do. It's why I host the show. Hi, I'm Angel. Guys, enough of me. Let us begin our journey to the Delta Quadrant and to a holodeck stranded in the Delta Quadrant with the Star Trek Voyager episode, Bride of Chaotica.
On the monochromatic world of the holodeck.
The Adventures of Captain Proton, Chapter 18, Bride of Chaotica. The evil Dr. Chaotica kidnaps Constance Goodhart and plans to sacrifice her to Arachnia, queen of the spider people.
A cylindrical robot is holding a large stainless steel surgical dish, whilst Miss Goodhart is strapped to a tilting table with probes suspended above it, menacingly. A menacing, begoateed man in menacing sparkly robes strides around the table menacingly before fiddling with some knobs, melodramatically. We watch Harry and Tom enter the bridge of an old-fashioned spaceship, complete with knobs and switches and cathode ray oscilloscopes. Tom wearing a retro-style leather and analog dial spacesuit, Harry in a boiler suit and wide belt, both wielding period-style ray guns.
Captain Proton travels millions of miles to Planet X, where he will invade the Fortress of Doom. Chaotica fires his fiendish death ray. Certain death for Proton, and his rocket ship bursts into flames.
The camera pulls out to show Harry and Tom, still wearing their leather outfits, watching these events unfold on a large round screen. They turn away as a large, phallic rocket ship thrusts through space, trapped in a lightning field.
It didn't burst into flames in the last chapter. Why are these recaps always so inaccurate?
Well, they brought people back to the theaters.
Cliffhangers.
The lost art of hyperbole. You ready?
Hi, Captain.
Let's get this show on the road. Computer, begin chapter 18.
We're receiving a transmission. It's Chaotica.
Amazing. Imagizing.
Constance appears on screen, tied up, her heaving breasts securely restrained by her showgirl costume. Chaotica is standing next to her, menacingly.
Captain Proton, surrender.
Not a chance. Release Miss Goodhart and we'll be on our way.
I'm afraid your secretary has already been promised to Queen Arachnia as a supreme sacrifice.
You'll never get away with this.
Oh, but I shall. You escaped from my death ray once, but you won't survive this.
Charging the weapon.
Brace for impact.
There is the electronic crackle of a large weapon, and the ship quakes.
Direct hit. We lost both engines.
Steering jets are on the fritz.
Kim looks through the ship's periscope and sees a range of mountains dead ahead.
We're going down.
The landing gear is jammed. Hang on.
The pair fruitlessly hit their fists against their control panels and brace themselves for impact as they make a crash landing onto the planet, with Tom being violently tossed to a comfortable sitting position on steps right next to him.
Opening hatch.
Welcome to Planet X.
Plan.
Paris draws his ray gun and indicates towards the open hatch.
Well, this is the part where we defeat Chaotica's soldiers, steal their uniforms, and make our way through the underground caverns.
Hey, I thought you said there were slave girls in this chapter.
After we infiltrate the Fortress of Doom, we'll free Chaotica's harem. Let's go.
I'm right behind you.
On the surface of Planet X, Tom and Harry are walking along a rocky chasm.
Planet X looks kind of familiar. What was the last place we went to?
The mines of Mercury.
They're identical.
That's where expensive. At least there's no erupting volcano this time. Ah, behold the Fortress of Doom.
A white citadel sits atop a mountain, its dildo-esque towers looming over the landscape.
And how are we supposed to get up there?
I told you, the underground
caverns. Right.
The ground shakes and rumbles, causing our intrepid heroes to lose their footing and be thrown against a cavern wall.
I thought you said there was no volcano.
I did.
Tom?
A shining, swirling red disk is emitting purple rays into the holodeck.
Definitely not Chaotica.
And on that exciting cliffhanger, the teaser ends. Will our bold heroes be able to save the defenseless damsel, Miss Constance Goodhart, in her over-engineered lingerie? Will they overcome the menacing Chaotica and his hordes of evil henchmen? Will they ever have a relaxing holodeck adventure without the safeties failing? All this and more coming up next on Bride of Chaotica. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 Voyager, and we're stranded in the Delta. Oh, please come home. Oh, Voyager. Voyager, come home. Voyager, and we're stranded in the Delta. Oh, please come home.
Oh, please come
Oh,
home.
Voyager,
Oh, Voyager,
come home. Voyager, please come home.
Boom, boom.
Act 1, back on Planet X. We're right back with our adventure. Our brave adventurers, Harry and Tom, are standing in front of the swirling, colorful light distortion.
Computer, end program.
To comply, holodeck controls are offline.
Paris to bridge. Bridge respond.
To find the manual overrides.
There's an access port in the rocket ship. Come on.
Kim and Paris stride off the way they came, whilst the colored distortion continues distorting. Up on the bridge, Janeway exits from the port turbo lift, walking past Tuvok towards Chakotay, sitting in the command chair.
Report.
We've dropped out of warp. We're at a dead stop.
Cause?
Unknown. Engines are operational.
I'm reading gravimetric forces around the ship. They're disrupting our power flow.
Control systems are going offline. I no longer have access to communications, deflector, or weapons.
Scan for vessels, tractor beams, anything that might explain what's holding us here.
Janeway turns to look quizzically forward, hoping the main view screen will reveal the solution to their immobility, whilst everyone else around her does actual work. Back on the holodeck, Paris and Kim are striding around a large pillar of rock when a stocky man in a tall metal helmet shouts at Paris and Kim. This is Lonzak, and he is flanked by two stout henchmen in masks, helmets, and menacing LeMay.
Halt! In the name of Chaotica! Proton!
Buddy of yours?
Paris nods, rolling his eyes.
Surprised? You thought I perished in the den of crocodiles.
We don't have time for this.
I survived, clinging to the thought that I would one day...
Paris draws his ray gun and shoots the massive helmet. Lonzak staggers backwards while Kim and Paris shoot the two stooges, who fall to the ground very carefully. Lonzak eventually reposes himself corpulently against a rocky pillar and passes out. Back on the bridge, the security officer and experienced tactical specialist, Tuvok, is making up for the lack of qualified science officers on the ship. If only there was another senior officer with science qualifications.
I believe I have an explanation. The sensors show that we've entered a layer of subspace. It's disrupting our warp field.
Do we have impulse?
Yes.
Engage at full.
Voyager's impulse engines glow red, and we cut to the bridge, which shakes like a car trying to gain purchase on black ice.
No change in our position.
Route all available power to the engines.
We're not moving.
The impulse reactor is running hot. We're headed for an overload.
Because apparently there are no engineers on Voyager to monitor the engines. The ship continues to shake to show the effort being expended, but going nowhere.
Give it all she's got. Full thrusters.
No effect. Reactors are critical.
Abort. Increase power to the structural integrity field. We may be here a while.
Janeway's hands find her way to their hips to demonstrate just how frustrated she is. Back on the holodeck and on Captain Proton's rocket ship, Paris is operating a holodeck control panel while Kim peers through the rocket ship's periscope.
It's no use. I can't disengage the program.
Well, you better think of something fast, Proton.
Despite the apparent urgency of the situation, Kim languidly rotates the periscope around its axis.
A second distortion just appeared. Whatever they are, they're getting bigger.
Hold on. I've got access to the transporter. I'm going to try a site to site.
There's a third one.
Paris and Kim materialize into a corridor on Voyager, now in full glorious Technicolor. They look at each other and rush off down the corridor. In the astrometrics lab, Tom has changed out of his Captain Proton uniform and into his duty uniform, and is looking at oversized graphics on the large screen next to Captain Janeway, whilst the formerly missing engineer, B'Elanna Torres, stands at the console. 7 of 9 walks up from behind to join her at the console.
I've run a transspectral analysis. The area between space and subspace is unstable throughout this region.
Basically, we've run aground on a subspace sandbar. I've tried realigning the warp field, reversing whole polarity.
Maybe we should just get out and push.
The gravimetric forces are disrupting our control systems.
As long as we're trapped here, we won't have access to the computer core, tactical, holodecks, and all but 6 replicators.
What about those distortions on the holodeck? What's the connection?
They appear to be random energy fluctuations. I don't believe they pose a threat.
Let's keep an eye on them anyway, and evacuate that deck just to be safe.
Janeway turns back to the oversized graphics. squints and pauses for a moment to ensure that her team realize she is about to say something insightful and important.
A few years back, when I was a science officer on the Albatani, we tried to navigate a dense proton nebula. It stopped us dead in our tracks. For 3 days, we attempted to force our way out until we realized we were trying too hard.
Captain?
Every time we engaged the engines, we were increasing the resistance of the nebula's particle field. We may be facing a similar situation.
Our own warp field may be increasing the gravimetric forces. If we power down the core and use minimal thrusters, we might be able to break free.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Your plan could work.
Now that we have your blessing.
Let's give it a try.
Janeway and Paris stride away from the astrometric display, and we're back on the holodeck. 2 energy pulses come down from the distortions and materialize into men in dapper suits and fedoras. They take devices from their pockets and scan the Fortress of Doom. They start to move towards it when...
Halt! In the name of Chaotica!
The aliens hold out their arms, posing no threat.
We intend no harm.
Seize them!
Lonzak taps a button on his high-tech gauntlet.
Lower the drawbridge. We are bringing prisoners.
Inside the Fortress of Doom, Chaotica's menacingly sequined gown sweeps majestically across a floor decorated with his coat of arms, all stars and lightning bolts topped with a monkey's head. He marches imperiously past Constance Goodhart, who is secured to a pillar, and the old-style boiler on legs, old-style robot, towards his overly ornate throne. As he approaches it, a door opens and Lonzak, the massive helmet, enters and bows deeply, his oversized headwear putting him at risk of toppling.
Yes, Lonzak, what do you want?
Your Majesty.
Where's Proton?
He, escaped.
Fool! You will pay for your incompetence. Seize him!
The robotic hot water tank lurches to action, shuffling awkwardly across the floor in Lonzak's direction.
Surrender.
But, Majesty, I have brought prisoners.
More Earthlings?
No, they claim they're from another dimension.
The 5th dimension. Bring them to me.
Lonzak, the massive helmet, claps his gauntleted hands, and the door opens once more, this time revealing the roly-poly henchman restraining the gangster-style gentleman from the 5th dimension.
Identify yourself.
You insult me. I am Chaotica, ruler of the cosmos.
Kneel before His Majesty. I said kneel!
The chunky henchmen in tights force the aliens to their knees.
You have invaded my planet. Why?
Chaotica walks around the aliens.
To contact other photonic life forms. To learn from them.
Are you alone? Or are you the vanguard of an invading army?
We are explorers.
I am growing weary of this charade. Your armies will be no match for my space force. We'll crush you like insects.
They are hostile. This contact should be terminated.
Indeed. Lonzak, execute them.
Lonzak pulls out his weapon and evaporates one alien, while the other has himself beamed away in a wibbly-wobbly flash of purple light.
Coward. He'll learn there's no escape. No escape from Chaotica. Gather my space force. Power the death ray.
At once, Majesty.
Take Miss Goodhart to Arachnia. Invite the Queen to join me in battle. Together, we will rain destruction on the 5th dimension.
As Chaotica walks out, menacingly, the oil barrel robot apprehends Constance, who becomes somewhat distressed. And we fade to black on the end of Act 1.
Looks like the holodeck is stuck in a simulation of a 1930s serial. Will we be able to terminate the simulation before Paris has to awkwardly explain something really racist to Harry? We'll see as we go back to Act 2. However, we want to take a break to thank the anonymous $20 donor who has pitched into our Tiltify fundraiser for Transgender Law Center. Do you want to know what kind of work that money is being put towards? Let me tell you a little bit about one of Transgender Law Center's victories in the realm of legal advocacy, the case of Whitaker versus Kenosha Unified School District. So on July 19th, 2016, Transgender Law Center and co-counsel Relman, Dane, and Colfax PLLC filed suit against the Kenosha Unified School District in Wisconsin on behalf of Ash Whitaker, a transgender boy. Ash had been denied access to male-designated restrooms at his high school, subjected to daily surveillance, and threatened with disciplinary action if he continued using the boys' restrooms. The complaint alleges that these and other discriminatory actions. It's not even technobabble, and I'm stumbling on it. Anyway, summary. May 2017, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals ruled unanimously in Ash's favor in a landmark decision holding that transgender students are protected from discrimination under Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. So that is the kind of awesome, tireless advocacy work that your donations will get put toward if you go to our Tiltify link in the comments. Even if you're watching this on YouTube, we will have the Tiltify link still active. There's no endpoint on this. You can always click on it and donate to it, and we'll still be accepting donations to send to TLC. Our goal is $250, and we've now hit 190. If one of you just pitches in $60, which is like the price for like a season of whatever murder show you like on Amazon Prime or YouTube, like we could hit our goal today. All right, now without further ado, I send it back to Bride of Chaotica, Act 2.
Act 2 opens on an exterior shot of the Aero Shuttle under the primary hull of Voyager.
Captain's log supplemental. We've been spinning our wheels for 3 days now, and still no progress in breaking free of the subspace layer.
In the mess hall, various crew members are sitting at tables eating what looks like seaweed. Neelix hands another tray of seaweed to a crewman who grimaces.
Look on the bright side. There's only 3 meals a day.
The crewman walks off to enjoy his meal as Janeway enters and approaches Neelix.
Coffee, black.
Sorry, Captain. We lost 2 more replicators this morning.
Janeway places her hands menacingly on Neelix's chest.
Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee, black.
Yes, ma'am.
Neelix leads the captain over to an apparently functional replicator.
Coffee, black.
The replicator hums and whirs. He hands the produced cup to Janeway.
Well, I've got your attention. There are...
Coffee first. Now, what's the problem?
It's a delicate matter.
I don't have time to play 20 questions, Neelix.
Replicators aren't the only systems of convenience offline. We've only got 4 functioning laboratories for a ship of 150 people.
I see.
Needless to say, lines are beginning to form, and if we don't get unstuck soon, we may have a serious problem on our hands, especially with the Bolians.
Janeway turns her nose up and puts the coffee down in distaste.
All but 3 sonic showers are offline too. In another couple of days.
I get the idea.
Captain to the bridge.
On my way. I'm going to leave these problems in your capable hands.
Yes, ma'am. I was thinking if we drew up a schedule.
Whatever it takes.
She puts down her coffee cup, turns on her heel, and marches away. Neelix frowns, looks down at the discarded coffee cup, then picks it up and drinks the rest. Shortly after, Janeway enters the bridge via the port turbolift.
Status.
The warp core has been powered down. The thrusters are at standby.
Okay, let's give it a try. Take us out, Tom. Nice and slow.
We're moving. 2 meters per second. 3 meters.
Steady.
9 meters. 10.
Increase power to the thrusters by 50%.
We're approaching the subspace boundary.
25 meters per second. Wait a minute. We're slowing down. 19 meters per second. 18.
Captain, I'm reading power surges.
Source?
Unknown, but they look like weapon signatures.
Not reading any other ships in the area.
We've stopped.
I've localized the weapons fire. It's emanating from within the ship. Deck 6, holodeck 2.
Who's still on that deck?
No one. No life signs.
There's a program running. It's Captain Proton.
Proton?
Can you shut it down?
Negative. Control system still malfunctioning.
Tuvok, get down there and find out what's happening.
Paris gives Janeway a concerned look.
Well, join him.
Yes, ma'am.
Back on the holodeck, Tuvok and Paris enter to find the planet and part of the Dildonic Fortress of Doom are a smoking mess.
It appears that a battle took place.
They walk past corpses of henchmen.
Believe me, it wasn't like this when I left. I must have missed a few chapters.
Holodeck programs don't normally run by themselves.
No kidding.
Constance is lying on the ground, face down. Paris rolls her onto her back and checks her pulse.
She's dead.
Who is she?
Constance Goodhart, my secretary. This doesn't make sense. She isn't supposed to die. She's one of the good guys.
I'm sure you two were very close, but this is a holodeck. She is a holodeck character.
A character from 1930s Hollywood. The good guys never get killed. Something's wrong here.
Invaders from the 5th dimension.
Tuvok and Paris turn to the source of the noise and find the trash can bot scored and scarred and leaning against a cavern wall.
Satan's robot.
Naturally.
Queen Arachnia is on her way. Invaders from the 5th dimension. Destroy Proton.
Give me a hand. If we repair his vocalizer, he might be able to tell us what's going on. It looks like he burned out a resistor.
Paris opens a door on the upright barbecue smoker's chest and prods around with his fingers for a few seconds, as is traditional when diagnosing electrical circuits.
What?
That's a few centuries before duotronic circuitry.
I see. How do you propose we repair him?
Well, first of all, I've got to remove this damaged tube. No problem, just a few crossed wires.
Your knowledge of this technology is most impressive.
Oh, thanks. Got it.
Intruders, intruders, intruders.
Paris bangs on the side of the makeshift Dalek.
Intruder alert, intruder alert.
Tell us what happened.
Invaders from the 5th dimension, invaders from the 5th dimension.
Hey, calm down.
How did these invaders get here?
A portal.
5th dimension. That's not supposed to be an alien invaders in this story. This is Captain Proton versus the cosmic creature.
Invaders from the fifth dimension.
Those subspace distortions. Take us to the portal.
The robot clunks and clanks, leading Paris and Tuvok to a place where 4 colorful portals can be seen.
There.
Weapons fire comes from the distortions.
Photonic charges. The same signatures as the weapons fire we detected.
The fifth dimension.
We must report this to the captain.
Wait, I want to check my rocket ship first.
Excuse me?
It's got sensors, sort of. Maybe they can tell us something Voyager sensors can't.
Paris sets off towards his rocket ship, Tuvok following, and the giant bullet bot clanking behind them. In astrometrics, Harry and Seven are standing at the control panel. It's a lot of words, y'all.
I've established a visual link with the holodeck. The attack appears to be originating from subspace.
The caverns of Planet X appear in black and white on screen, along with the 4 interdimensional portals in purple and red. Weapons fire is being emitted from the portals. Pew, pew, pew.
Tell where it's coming from?
No.
Lightning flashes hit the distortions.
What was that?
Chaotica's death ray.
Excuse me?
Let's see if we can get a look inside his fortress. Find out what he's up to.
Harry works the controls and pulls up a visual of the Fortress of Doom, where the vibrators appear to have been repaired. A few more beeps and Chaotica appears on the astrometric screen, pacing backwards and forwards, menacingly.
Full power to the death ray. Arachnia, Queen of the Spider People, you have not responded to my summons.
Seven mutes the sound and rolls her eyes.
I don't get it. Chaotica was supposed to be fighting Earth in this chapter.
Apparently, he's found a new enemy.
Fifth dimension.
It seems her infantile scenario now poses a security risk.
It was just supposed to be a little harmless entertainment.
Entertainment. Another frivolous human endeavor.
Harry Kim sniggers behind Seven's back as she seeks answers from her console. Back on the holodeck on Captain Proton's rocket ship, Paris is inspecting the feed from a ticker tape machine, accompanied by Tuvok and Satan's robot.
And these are your sensor readings.
Telegram. It's a message to Captain Proton from the President of Earth.
The robot leans in to get a better view of the ticker tape, leaning against Tuvok, who is barely coping with the surreality of the situation.
Intercepted communications between Dr. Chaotica and Arachnia. Stop. Chaotica at war with aliens from fifth dimension. Stop. Must strike now to disable Death Ray.
The shoulder war between Dildobot and Tuvok continues in the background, and finally, Tuvok has had enough.
Stop!
The oversized bollard on legs looks in surprise at Tuvok.
Please just summarize the message.
Paris stares disbelievingly at Tuvok and sensibly decides to just follow his superior officer's order.
Well, it looks like Chaotica has captured a couple of aliens from the fifth dimension.
An alternative universe?
Could be. Maybe they wandered into the holodeck through one of those distortions.
To participate in a game.
The hatch
Intruder.
squeaks, and the Tankbot 5000 jerks to alert.
Intruder.
I assume there's no locking mechanism on the hatch?
It was a simpler time.
The suited alien from before enters the ship.
Is he part of the program?
I don't recognize him.
As Tuvok and Paris aim their phasers at the monochrome intruder, and the animated silver canister staggers around in alarm, we come to the end of Act 2.
All right, our heroes have encountered a mysterious stranger wearing a fedora. Is he about to tell them that it's really about ethics and gaming journalism? We'll see in the next act. For the people who get it, they'll get it. But once again, I just want to take a break to let people know that we are continuing to raise money during this live stream and beyond for Transgender Law Center. We are at $190 out of our $250 goal. What kind of work will your money be put towards if you donate to Transgender Law Center? Well, let me read to you about one of their other legislative victories. This is in 2015. The case was Quine versus Beard. In 2015, the California Departments of Corrections and Rehabilitation reached a groundbreaking settlement with TLC and Shiloh Quine, a transgender woman held in a men's prison, to move her to a women's facility and provide medical care, including gender-affirming surgery, determined necessary by several medical and mental health professionals. In the settlement, the state also agreed to change its policies so that transgender prisoners can access clothing and commissary items consistent with their gender identity. The state also affirmed that it's revising its policies regarding transgender inmates' access to medically necessary treatment for gender dysphoria, including surgery. Well, you know, I myself am a complete prison abolitionist, but I think it's important to do work that at least alleviates immediate traumatic harm being done to people who are incarcerated. And TLC is one of the organizations really doing important work towards that end. So if you donate, we'll give you a shout out on the episode, and then you also get to help people not suffer additional trauma under an already traumatic institution. I think, you know, both of those things are cool. All right, guys, enough chatter from me. Let's continue on with Act 3 of Bride of Chaotica.
Act 3. Back on Captain Proton's rocket ship, the Tuvok and Paris are still among their weapons at the alien from the 5th dimension. The bucket of bolts continues to twitch around unhelpfully, walking in line of fire and getting in the way of Voyager crew members.
Invaders, invade.
Some technical difficulties. I think we are going to take a brief break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Act 3. Back on Captain Proton's rocket ship, Tuvok and Paris are still aiming their weapons at the alien from the 5th dimension. The bucket of bolt continues to twitch around unhelpfully, walking in the line of fire and getting in the way of the Voyager crew members.
Invaders, invaders.
Quiet.
Paris hits the beat-up old tank once more.
Invaders, invaders.
There's been a misunderstanding.
He puts his phaser down on the side.
I'm Ensign Paris from the Starship Voyager. This is Lieutenant Tuvok.
You have killed 53 of my people.
We haven't killed anyone.
Ensign, everything you see here is a simulation. None of this is real.
Simulation.
A photonically based projection.
All life is photonic.
Yeah.
But also, you're really quiet. I can barely hear you personally.
Yeah, I'm here. Is this better?
Oh, crap.
I can hear you now.
Okay. So can I, do you still want me on video or no? Okay. Look, there's been a misunderstanding.
Paris puts his phaser down on the side.
I'm Ensign Paris from the starship Voyager. This is Lieutenant Tuvok.
You have killed 53 of my people.
We haven't killed anyone.
Ensign, everything you see here is a simulation. None of it is real.
Simulation?
A photonically based projection.
All life is photonic.
We are not. We are biochemical.
I'm not familiar with biochemical.
We are carbon based. We live aboard a starship. I believe we have become trapped in a region of space that intersects your own.
We've detected no starship, only this planet.
This planet isn't real. As I told you, it's part of a simulation.
The alien scans them with his hand device.
Maybe we can help you adjust your sensors.
Don't register as a life form. You are the illusion.
We're as real as you are. Listen.
The drum on legs that would only really pose a threat to a Klingon working in a cargo bay steps forward, pushing Tom and Tuvok out of the way, approaching the alien. It's a deep cut.
Citizens of the fifth dimension, you will be destroyed.
The alien shoots the robot, who flails around and disarms him. The alien flees.
Wait.
Oh. Damage. Require maintenance. Help.
While Tuvok looks on bemused, Paris makes eye contact with the animated scrap pile, and then walks away frustrated. Back in the real world, in the briefing room, Janeway is rubbing her forehead as she tries to get her head around what is happening on her ship. Tuvok is so disgusted, he is sitting on the briefing table with his arms crossed, whilst Chakotay and Seven are standing at the back of the room, trying not to giggle at the ridiculousness of the situation.
Let me get this straight. Trans-dimensional aliens have mistaken your Captain Proton simulation for reality.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, an armed conflict has broken out between these aliens and Chaotica's holographic army.
Yes, ma'am. His army of evil.
And will someone please explain why we haven't simply shut down the holodeck?
At last, someone is asking the real questions. Why isn't there just an off switch?
We've tried. The controls are still offline.
We're going to have to get through to these aliens somehow and explain that they're fighting shadows.
We've tried, but they don't believe us. They think that we're not real. They can't detect Voyager, so every time they scan us, we seem as artificial to them as holographic characters do to us.
That explains why they haven't answered our hails.
The doctor is photonic. He may be able to persuade them.
It's worth a try. Brief him.
Janeway flicks a finger imperiously at Seven, who nods.
In the meantime, I think we should let the program play out.
You're not suggesting we wait until this Chaotica defeats the aliens?
No, no. I'm suggesting that we help the aliens to defeat Chaotica. They think that he's leading some kind of hostile invasion force. Once that threat is gone, it's a good bet that they will leave and close up their portals.
How do you propose to defeat Chaotica?
Well, he's been attacking the aliens with his death ray.
It's a shame we don't have one.
You have never seen a Vulcan sound more sarcastic or look more insolent, or a first officer laugh quite as hard as Chakotay in response.
Forget what it's called, Tuvok. In the world of Captain Proton, it's the most powerful weapon that there is. And because it's photonic, it's lethal to these aliens. Now, in Chapter 18, Captain Proton disables this weapon just before Chaotica can use it to destroy Earth.
And you think that Proton, namely you, of course, could still do that?
At this point, even Janeway has given up on not treating this as a massive joke, despite the significance of the breach of the Prime Directive.
I'm so sorry. Well, we have to knock out the lightning shield first.
A force field.
Yeah, now you're catching on. The Destructo beam on my rocket ship can disable the death ray, but only if someone gets inside the Fortress of Doom and can shut down the lightning shield.
And who's supposed to do that?
Arachnia, Queen of the Spider People.
Charming.
Janeway laughs and joins Tuvok in perching on the end of the briefing room table. Paris sighs and continues trying.
Chaotica thinks so. In the story, he's in love with her. He's been trying to form an alliance since Chapter 3. She's the only one that he trusts, and the only one that can get close enough to disable the lightning shield. Somebody is going to have to take on her character.
Janeway is nodding, humoring Paris.
Who'd you have in mind?
She turns to look pointedly at 7 of 9, but everyone else looks straight back at Janeway. She turns to find Tom staring her down. In the background, Chakotay is now finding this funnier than Janeway.
Oh, no.
It's the role of a lifetime.
Captain, need I remind you that we have exhausted all other possibilities of escaping this layer of subspace?
Until we can eliminate those distortions, we're trapped.
Think of it as Starfleet's first encounter with Planet X.
Thanks.
Captain, it won't be so bad. I can explain to you what you can expect. I can tell you.
All right, all right.
Janeway stands at the briefing room window, staring out into space and wondering if 5.5 years ago she shouldn't have just let the Kazon destroy the ship. She turns to face the room and reality.
I'm a size 4.
In the doctor's office, Taurus rushes in to meet with the EMH.
What's the emergency?
I've been enlisted. I'm supposed to make contact with our photonic friends from the 5th dimension and convince them to call off their attack.
Congratulations. Why do you need me?
It's an undercover mission. I'll need a bit of cosmetic surgery. These are the parameters for my new costume.
What are you going as? The Emperor of the Universe?
Taurus starts to adjust the doctor's mobile emitter. Like many of the other crew, she is now practicing rolling her eyes.
Well, I've been forced to scale back my role in the interest of credibility. I'll be the president of Earth. I must say, the idea of an entire universe populated by photonic beings is rather appealing.
Well, if your mission fails, you could be taking up permanent residence.
Get to sickbay. Report to holodeck 2, Doctor.
B'Elanna prods the doctor's mobile emitter a few more times whilst rolling her eyes a bit more.
You're all set. The new parameters will activate as soon as you enter the holodeck.
Thank you.
Break a leg.
The doctor turns to look back at Torres, pauses, smiles, and turns away to leave the room. Janeway and Paris are striding purposefully down a corridor.
So all I have to do is find the controls of this death ray and deactivate it.
It's not as simple as it sounds. Now, Chaotica might be a 1930s villain, but he's very clever. It'd help if you knew some of the rules.
I'm listening.
All right. Well, first of all, he's a megalomaniac, so it's a good idea to appeal to his ego.
Right.
And use grandiose language. He likes to be called sire. And it helps to say things like, "The clever fiendishness of your evil plan is brilliant."
A turbo lift's doors open and Janeway and Paris enter. It's like the training montage from Rocky, but without the music, drama, or the training.
Deck 4.
Now remember, it's a ray gun, not phaser. Imagizer, not view screen. Earthlings, not Terrans.
Got it.
And another thing, these villains always have a trick up their sleeve. Trapdoors, secret weapons.
Janeway shrugs dismissively.
It's the holodeck. I can't be hurt by weapons.
Because apparently the holodeck safeties have never malfunctioned before.
That doesn't mean you can't be restrained or thrown into the dungeon of pain.
Janeway's eyes light up at the mention of pain, like she's into it.
Noted.
Now, as soon as you get the death ray shut down, call me in my rocket ship and give me the signal to fire. You'll have to use Chaotica's broadcast microphone.
Janeway and Paris exit the turbolift along another corridor.
This is how you've been spending your free time?
Well, I've been studying how past generations viewed the future.
And?
Yes, this is it, everyone. This was the punchline they wrote this entire episode to deliver, so you'd better enjoy it.
Well, it didn't quite work as black and white as they'd imagined.
Get it? Black and white, monochrome, but anyway.
Now, specifications for Arachnia's costume. Am I not coming through? Whoops. I'm sorry, say again? Okay. Now, specifications for Arachnia's costume. One more thing. If you have trouble with Chaotica, or if you can't get to the death ray, you can always uncork the pheromones.
Janeway raises her eyebrows so high it makes Vulcans look like amateurs.
I beg your pardon?
Chapter 16, Spell of the Spider. Arachnia sends Chaotica a vial of her irresistible potion. Now, whenever he gets a whiff, he's under her spell.
I get the picture.
Yeah, well, my point is that these pheromones seem to throw Chaotica for a loop. Well, it works in Chapter 16 anyway. Now, the vial is sitting on a small pedestal next to the throne.
I'll keep an eye out.
Okay.
Thanks for the briefing.
Janeway exits, rolling her eyes and saluting.
I'll see you at the Fortress of Doom. And remember, you're the queen.
He smiles and points at her as she leaves. On the holodeck, the Fortress of Doom once again has damaged towers. Inside, Chaotica is striding around the death ray in his throne room, menacingly rubbing the fingers and thumb of one hand together. Lonzak in the massive helmet marches in.
Sire, 3 more of our spaceships have been destroyed.
Full power to the death ray.
Lonzak goes to the controls and plays with some knobs, then goes to a desk to stare at an oscilloscope while Chaotica menacingly uses his broadcast microphone.
Citizens of the 5th dimension, your feeble attacks are nothing but pinpricks to me. Surrender now, and I will be merciful.
We're receiving a transmission.
They are surrendering.
No, it's Queen Arachnia. She wishes to cross the drawbridge.
What are you waiting for? Show her in.
Helmet Man strides off to do his master's bidding, whilst Chaotica returns the microphone to the desk. He rubs his hands, anticipating the pleasures ahead.
I present Her Royal Highness Arachnia.
Enter Janeway in a long, slim-fitting dress, hair up, alluring web-like collar, and hips thrust forward. She pauses and looks around before seeing Chaotica and walking towards him sensuously. They circle each other around Chaotica's heraldic crest, the one on the floor.
At last, my queen.
He approaches her, gets down on his knees, and kisses Janeway's hand. She rolls her eyes a bit more, but seems to enjoy the power play and goes with it. And on this erotic meeting of powerful people, we come to the end of Act 3.
Boy, what do we have in store as we find out what else in this episode David decided to compare to a phallic symbol. Oh man, that was Act 3 of Bride of Chaotica, and it's time for me to once again let you all know we're still raising money for Transgender Law Center, and we are at $190 of our $250 goal. If you donate during the live stream, we will give you a shout out. And this is the kind of work that your money will go to. One of the projects that the Transgender Law Center works on is BLIMP, or the Black LGBTQIA plus Migrant Project. BLIMP envisions a world where no one is forced to give up their homeland, where all Black LGBTQIA people are free and liberated. We build and center the power of Black LGBTQIA migrants to ensure the liberation of all Black people through community building, political education, creating access to direct services, and organizing across borders. BLIMP is an independent organization that is fiscally sponsored by Transgender Law Center. So led by a directly impacted steering committee and staff and housed at the Transgender Law Center, we build power, community, and knowledge in the U.S. while challenging the role the U.S. plays globally in creating the conditions that force us to leave our homes. So it's not just legislative advocacy that Transgender Law Center puts their power towards, but a critique of global imperialism and advocating for, dismantling of colonialist, racist systems and helping people recognize the intersections of those different forms of oppression. So if you want to contribute to that and then also have your name said out loud on a nerdy rinky-dink internet web show, donate to the Tiltify link below in the comments, either on in Facebook right now or on YouTube if you're watching the replay there. Now, let's return and see how Janeway gets used to playing a different role on Act 4 of Bride of Chaotica. Take it away.
Act 4. We return to Chaotica's throne room with Chaotica on his knee to Arachnia.
This is an historic occasion. Kindred souls meet at last.
It's an honor to be in your presence, Majesty. I've always admired your clever fiendishness.
Ah, your taste is exceeded only by your beauty.
Chaotica goes to kiss Arachnia's hand, but she pulls it away at the last minute. Ooh.
This must be your death ray.
That, my dear, is the cradle of persuasion. It's fully equipped. Brain probe, pain modulator.
This meeting just gets more and more sexually charged by the second.
Impressive. It's good you have the lightning shield to protect your equipment.
Yes, as long as it's electrified, I'm invincible.
He waves his arm around menacingly to illustrate his invincibility.
But my greatest achievement is there. Behold, the death ray.
She crosses to the device and strokes its phallic length.
Oh, it looks like a formidable weapon.
That is what she said.
The most powerful in the cosmos. There is so much more I want to show you. My throne, for example, the seat of my empire.
As Chaotica gestures to his frankly impractically intricate throne, Arachnia sees a vial on a bejeweled cushion on a plinth near the throne.
Ah, I see you've kept my pheromones. I didn't realize you were the sentimental type.
Your perfume inspires me.
Janeway tucks the pheromone vial into her sleeve.
Would you mind?
Oh, please.
Janeway sits on the throne, looking instantly at home.
Somehow, I feel comfortable here.
She seems almost disturbed by how comfortable she feels.
Join me And you will have your own chair, one adorned with the most precious jewels and the softest silk.
Your Majesty seems overly concerned with romantic matters when there's a battle to be won. That is why you asked me here.
Of course, my dear. Forgive me, it's just that the air itself seems to vibrate in your presence.
We can't be slaves to our passion, not when your empire is threatened. I have assembled my fleet of spider ships. However, the lightning shield prevents them from approaching your fortress.
We'll send them directly into battle alongside my Space Force.
My soldiers wish to pay homage to you.
Gratifying. Of course, if I lower my shield, my fortress will be defenseless. Even an ally might choose such a moment to seize my throne.
You don't trust me.
There is a way you could convince me of your loyalty.
Oh?
I'll lower my lightning shield, but first, you must become my queen. Gather my courtiers. Prepare for the ceremony.
Janeway's face alternates between faked delight and abject horror.
And don't forget to deactivate the lightning shield so my subjects may witness the blessed event.
Very well. Do as she says. Once her guests have arrived.
Yes, sire.
The helmet bows low and backs out of the room.
And so, my dear, the day you have always dreamed of has arrived. The day you become bride of Chaotica.
They walk towards the throne, hand in hand, and we cut to Planet X. The doctor, dressed in a sober suit, just like the aliens. His breast pocket bears the insignia of the Federation of Planets, and he wears a pair of wire-rimmed spectacles. He has the alien device dropped in the Proton's rocket ship. He presses it, and the alien appears in a haze of purple light.
Welcome.
The alien scans the doctor using his own device.
You are photonic.
Guilty as charged.
You signaled me across the threshold. How?
I believe you dropped your calling card. I return it to you as a sign of good faith.
Identify yourself.
I am the president of Earth.
Earth?
A planet some distance from here. I've come on a mission of peace.
Elaborate.
Your people and the people of Earth have a common enemy.
Chaotica.
The one and only.
He threatens to invade our realm, destroy our people.
Join the club. Chaotica has designs on Earth too, but we've withstood countless attacks, all thanks to one man, Captain Proton.
Captain Proton?
Defender of the universe, scourge of intergalactic evil, and a competent medic to boot, but don't say I said so. Even as we speak, he's preparing to destroy Chaotica's death ray, but he needs your help.
Explain.
Your weapons pose a threat to Proton's rocket ship. You must cease firing while he mounts his attack. Once Chaotica's death ray is destroyed, you can return to your realm confident that you'll never hear from him again.
Captain Proton may proceed.
On behalf of the citizens of Earth, I thank you.
They shake hands, and the EMH turns and, with a twitch of an eyebrow, walks away. On Captain Proton's ship, Harry, Tom, and the semi-intelligent Vibralux 5000 are carrying out pre-flight checks. The robot is getting in the way, causing Kim and Paris to duck and shuffle to avoid him.
Space drive.
Check.
Check.
Destructo beam.
Check.
Check.
If I could access the holodeck controls, the first thing I'd do is delete this guy.
Delete this guy.
As a matter of fact, as soon as all this is over, I think I'm going to delete the whole program.
What about your historical study?
Class dismissed. No more robots, no more mad scientists, no more death rays. I am retiring my rocket pack, Harry. Someone else can save the universe from now on.
Final chapter, huh?
The end.
The hatchway clanks and the doctor enters.
Isn't anyone going to sing Hail to the Chief?
Mr. President, how'd it go?
My performance was unimpeachable.
Let's just let that comment rest for a moment. It's nice to say that about a president right now, isn't it?
Agreed?
Let's just say I'm considering running for office when we get back to Earth.
All right, then. Let's get this thing on the air and hope Captain Janeway is giving a command performance.
Tom and Harry go to the controls and start working them as the screen wipes to Chaotica's throne room in the Fortress of Doom. Janeway, as Arachnia, stands to one side, looking aloof, whilst Chaotica himself is once again striding around the Death Phallus, menacingly.
Queen Arachnia.
Lonzak, without his helmet, presents Janeway with a gaudy bauble on the pillow. It shines less brilliantly than his bald head.
Don't tell me. My wedding ring.
Dr. Chaotica's wedding ring. You will present it to him at the end of the ceremony.
Lonzak glances at the ring and strides off.
Your Majesty, perhaps we should lower the lightning shield in anticipation of my guests.
What is this preoccupation with the shield?
Oh, forgive me. It's just that, as a fellow ruler of the cosmos, I often have to do things myself.
Because of the incompetence of your inferiors, no doubt.
Something like that.
I mean, we've met Chakotay and Kim, so we'll just let that one pass.
Oh, Arachnia, my love, my life. How well you understand our plight. If it weren't beneath my dignity, I would weep. How I've longed for someone who would understand.
We have a saying on Arachnia. It's lonely at the top.
No longer, my dear.
Majesty, Proton is preparing to attack.
They move to look at the Imagizer screen, which shows Proton's Priapic rocket ship thrusting towards the Fortress of Doom.
Target his rocket ship.
Janeway knocks out the minion at the controls and takes his ray gun.
You have betrayed me. You are in league with Proton. Impetuous harlot.
Tell me how to deactivate the lightning shield, or I'll show you just how impetuous I can be.
What are you waiting for, you great lummox? Kill her!
Lonzak, the helmetless, fires his ray gun, but it has no effect on Janeway.
Ha! You're no match for Arachnia. Now, tell me how to shut down the shield.
The confinement rings.
Lonzak presses a button on his belt, and Janeway is trapped inside a cylindrical force field which takes the shape of the heraldic shield on the floor.
Oh, don't worry. I wouldn't kill my bride. Not until after our wedding night. Reactivate the death ray. Destroy Proton.
Lonzak, the dehelmeted, and a goon grab the controls for the death ray and move it into position, then press the trigger. And on board Proton's shiny shaft, they feel the weapon strike.
We've been hit.
Well, I guess the captain ran into some trouble.
We're not going down without a fight. Doc, activate the Destructo beam.
The what?
The big button in the middle of that panel.
Destructo beam.
The doctor moves to push a button on a panel. Kim and Paris cry out.
The other panel!
He pulls back his hand just in time and moves to the other panel.
Destructo beam activated.
Just dropped out of range. We're losing altitude.
Back on Voyager's bridge, B'Elanna is at a console concentrating on its readings.
Report. The alien's weapon fire is increasing. It's causing the distortions to grow larger. We're being pulled deeper into subspace.
Chakotay looks helpless at a readout as we come to the exciting end of Act 4.
Yes, just to let you all know, as we enter the final act, we had a little bit of technical difficulties with our Balana. So the role has been taken over by Aaron was unfortunately had to log out, so the role has been taken over by who's taking over Balana?
Noah.
Noah is taking over for Balana. We're running a little long, so I'm just gonna look at the Tiltify link below if you haven't donated money yet. All right, let's wrap it up with the final act of Bride of Chaotica. Take it away.
Act 5 is stretching the lost art of hyperbole back on Proton's massive space member, being shaken by the death ray. The tin can on legs is, predictably, getting in the way and being unhelpful.
Invaders! Invaders!
The doctor peers through the ship's periscope.
Incoming.
Proton's ship is hit with another zap of the death ray. Back at the Fortress of Doom, Janeway is out of the confinement rings, but is chained to the wall with her hands behind her. No one is paying her any attention.
Proton's ship is damaged, but still airborne.
Not for long. Fire at will.
Janeway reaches into her sleeve and unstoppers the vial of pheromones she secreted earlier.
Lonzak.
Lonzak the ball takes Chaotica's place at the death ray, checking the aim. Chaotica strides over to the control panels and flaps at a minion.
Man the lightning shield.
The pheromones waft over to Lonzak and travel up his nose. He walks over to Janeway, stupefied.
Arachnia.
Lonzak.
Lonzak ignores. Oh, sorry.
Lonzak. Quickly, Lonzak. No time for dawdling.
Lonzak ignores Chaotica and moves closer to Janeway.
Your beauty is maddening. Entangle me with your web.
It's not the line I'd have gone with, but you know.
Let me out of here and I'll do all that and more.
At once, my queen.
Lonzak notices, or Chaotica notices, that Lonzak is standing next to Arachnia.
Back to your station.
Janeway knocks out Lonzak and takes his weapon.
Idiot.
Janeway shoots Chaotica's minions and points her ray gun at him.
Deactivate the shield, now.
Such passion, such strength. Together we could conquer the universe. End this madness, and you may yet live to be my bride.
The shield. I don't know how to tell you this.
She shoots him, and he slumps against the death ray.
But the wedding's off.
Janeway runs over to Chaotica's broadcast microphone and whips the cable like a Ferengi on a planet in the Delphi Ardu system.
Arachnia to Proton. Arachnia to Proton. Do you read me? Arachnia to Proton.
Chaotica is struggling to his feet as Arachnia talks to Proton. Back on Proton's ship, Parrish rushes over to his broadcast microphone on the metallic, one-eyed rocket.
I'm reading you.
The lightning shield is down.
Acknowledged. Harry, target the death ray. Doc, fire the destructo beam on my mark. Ready? Now.
The energy from the destructo beam travels down the death ray and into Chaotica, who jerks around violently before collapsing to the ground, eyes open, life gone. Arachnia looks surprisingly unempathetic. Back on the bridge of Voyager, Tuvok is once again taking the role of a science officer for some reason.
The distortions are closing.
We're realigning with normal space.
Helm, full impulse.
Voyager's impulse engines push the ship forward, and they clear the problematic sector of space.
Bridge to Janeway?
Go ahead.
The aliens have retreated, and they've closed the distortions. We've cleared the subspace layer.
Back on the holodeck in Chaotica's throne room, Janeway is standing over Chaotica's body, one hand on hip, the other on the desk.
Secure all systems and organize damage repair teams.
Understood. We're preparing to shut down the holodeck.
Chakotay, give me a minute.
Janeway crouches down next to Chaotica. The robot enters, getting in the way, followed by Paris, Kim, and the doctor.
I was about to say, Captain Proton to the rescue, but you have everything under control.
I'm the queen, remember?
Arachnia, death as you know it has no hold on me. Let me find my line. Ah, there it is. Yes, thank you. My defeat is but a temporary setback. I shall return to seek my revenge.
He doesn't give up, does he?
They never do.
Our love was not meant to be, my queen. But be warned, you have not seen the last of Chaotica.
The end of a twisted madman.
Harry puts his ray gun away.
And you're going to miss him.
A little.
A title card reading "The End" appears on the imagizer. Then a question mark with evil laughter. The crew look at each other and once again roll their eyes. The end.
What an adventure that was in every sense of it. We're going to fade to the credits, and then we're going to have a bit of a condensed after show discussion just because some of our cast and crew have hard outs. Hard. So stay tuned after the credits. Welcome back to Dramatis Personae. Thank you, everybody, for being a little patient with our technical difficulties, and we're just constantly coping with life in a Zoom where everything's on Zoom. We're bound to run into some difficulties, and it's a live show. So here's the basic topic of discussion I want to address after this episode. This episode uses the framing story of a 1930s sci-fi serial, and sort of uses that to examine the sci-fi genre in general. So here's an academically and intellectually rigorous question I want to put forth to anybody who wants to answer. What's hornier, 1930s sci-fi or 1990s sci-fi? Discuss.
They're the same picture. There's no difference between them, Angel. Humans are still obsessed with penis and vagina fun. They will continue to be obsessed with it. And it doesn't matter whether it's in black and white, whether it's camp, whether it's literal. That's the way we're going to talk. I mean, I'm not saying that Freud was right. He was wrong about so many things, but he got the cock right.
I will just say, though, you seem to, for those of you who want to peek behind the curtain, David does a lot of our scripts and in your metatextual commentary. You definitely seem to have a lot more fun to pull out of this episode than some of the other ones we've done. Do you think there's maybe just a little bit more overt camp in the in sort of the classic pulp sci-fi milieu?
Yeah, so I think, you know, like Star Trek deals with sex all the time. I mean, often in quite violent ways, of course, with Deanna Troy's history. But, you know, sex happens all the time in Star Trek. And it's normally dealt with in a very grown-up way. But I don't know whether you Americans are familiar with the Carry On films.
No, please explain.
No, complete lack of comprehension. And Steffi, you're going to have to back me up on this because there's no way I can do this any credit on my own. But effectively, it's a series of exceptionally camp, exceptionally innuendo, whose endo? Your endo, laden films from the sort of 1960s onwards. Now, they're a little bit dated, and frankly, in places, they're downright sexist. But they are absolute classics, and it really is those innuendo threads that it was quite easy to, for now, pull out and just play on. And, you know, you said it was a metatextual analysis, but actually I would argue that there wasn't much subtext to this episode. The visuals were pure penis, and it's not hard to find it in the text directly either.
I think even if you watch the original episode, you can kind of tell that a lot of the cast are trying really hard not to laugh while they're filming. You can even like kind of spy some things, like some of the actors who are like in the background, they're like kind of sort of quietly laughing. And I don't feel like the character would. It's, I think, the actor laughing at what they're having to do.
Oh, I think Chakotay was laughing at this situation. So, I mean, one thing worth noticing is this episode was being filmed after the bridge had literally burnt down on the set. So they were literally dealing with fire damage to the set, which is why there weren't many scenes on the bridge in this episode. And I think really what you've got is you've got Robert Beltran stood there, who's not got much of a role in this episode. I mean, doesn't have much of a role in the entire series, but, you know, doesn't have much of a role in this episode. And I just think he was enjoying watching something utterly ridiculous go on. And I think his character was as well. I don't think there's any reason for Chakotay to keep a straight face in this scenario. His character
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely. He's not, you know, he's not a Federation officer. He's
yeah.
So Marnie, you play Kim in this episode. Like, don't you think it's kind of fucked up that Harry Kim has to be the sidekick even on the holodeck?
I think he just never catches a break. Just here, I think he has his part, or at least I like to feel like I had a special part in there that, yeah, kind of cast aside that little, you know, say what you need to say and move on, and let Paris take the spotlight on it. But you know, there are bits and pieces in there that I think if he wasn't there would be missed, at least as an extra body, if nothing else.
Sure.
He's good at peering through that periscope.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Gotta lean in there.
It's just hard for me to not think right now. I mean, also I just watched a movie with Bruce Lee in it, so it's hard for me to not think of like the Green Hornet and Kato, where it's like, you know, the Asian character always has to be, you know, the sidekick. And especially, you know, it is interesting to think about. I mean, I made that joke about you know, having to go, if this went on long enough, Paris would have to explain something racist to Kim. But it's like, you know, that I mean, they're especially in like the 30s, you know, and like at the beginning of sci-fi cinema, there was a lot of use, and even into early original series Trek, you know, the use of Asian themes as an instant way to exoticize aliens. I mean, the main villain on Flash Gordon was Ming the Merciless, you know, and then you had like the Mandarin in the Iron Man comic books, you know, and
Harry playing a good guy in a 1930s sci-fi serial. That's incredibly, that might be so progressive as to be illegal in the 1930s.
God, that's like as transgressive as like Lucy marrying a Cuban on TV in the 50s. Steffi, Steffi, actually, I lost this thread, but David brought up that maybe you might also be able to back him up on that connection to what was the series of films you mentioned, David?
Carry on. I'm just putting a link in the on Facebook.
Excellent. So I mean, Steffi, are there some other like references, like maybe either specifically British or otherwise, that you kind of drew upon, like looking at this at the old style sci-fi presented in this episode?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I watched the 1980 Flash Gordon movie last night to sort of set the mood a bit for this episode, and even though Flash Gordon is very American and it's like, you know, the heroic roles are mostly played by Americans, it had a British director, and I think it was mostly filmed. I think it was filmed at Shepperton Studios in the UK, and it has a very it has that very camp feel to it. That definitely has its legacy in sort of the you know, British camp cinema and theatre, I think.
Very true, very true, very true. So, you know, we're, like I said, we're kind of running a little bit on low on time. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to wrap it up a little bit here because first off, Carl, our fearless leader, has a little thing they want to plug. So Carl, please go ahead and announce what you want to promote.
Yeah, so I produced with Gabby Dunn, whose podcast Bad with Money turned into a book called Bad with Money. We produce a series on YouTube called Make It Gay, where we basically read through like traditionally very like bro-y, masculine, like comedy movies like with an all queer cast. But we were approached by New Fest, which is a big LGBTQ film fest in New York, about doing an all trans reading of Brokeback Mountain. It's very different from what we've done before. So all trans. The purpose of the series Make It Gay is to prove that trans people do deserve we deserve representation in media. We deserve to be cast in protagonist roles. You know, like, it's gonna be an amazing reading. We taped it last weekend, so actually it's in 23 minutes. So I'm not actually sure that they're still able to if you're still able to RSVP, but I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the Facebook chat here. It's just newfest.org/brokeback. If you'd like to join, it should be a great time. I was very excited to work with actors like Jen Richards and Leon Chang and all the other folks involved. So if you're able to join, if you're able to still RSVP, I super duper encourage you to. But I will pass it back to Angel at this point.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to announce the next episode that we will be doing in a fortnight's time. We will be returning to the saga of the NCC 1701D Enterprise. We are doing the TNG Season 4 episode, Night Terrors. So make sure your sleep schedule is healthy in the next 2 weeks before you experience some night terrors. But in the meantime, thanks to everybody who's participated in today's episode. That's Marnie Mortimer, Fiona Donna, Maxim Rex, Bex Flat, not Randall C. Brown. He unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, but Casey Lowry, Noah Stansbury, Aaron Getson, Lita Chrisman, Steffi, Sarah Horton, Ben Church, David X. Crow, Robbie Lawton, our fearless leader and producer, Carl St. Lucie. I am Angel Castillo. I am your host. Please continue to check the Tiltify link if you want to kick some money to Transgender Law Center. And in the meantime, ex Astris Beatitudo, and live long and prosper.